Chapter 6, Lecture 5. So the types of development that we just referred to also go hand in hand with the roots of moral development among infants and toddlers. So moral development first of all depends on socialization, that is how children develop habits and values that make them productive members of society. It also depends on internalization, that is accepting the standards of society as your own rather than doing something because others are telling you what to do and what not to do. It's a growing awareness of the correct way to behave for its own sake rather than because of rules or punishments. So developing self-regulation is a very important aspect of development that underlies all kinds of successful psychosocial development, including moral development. So self-regulation links all domains of development. Self-regulation is a child's independent control of their own behavior to conform to their understanding of social expectations. They conform with the caregiver's standards even if the caregivers are not present. And it depends on the ability to pay attention and stay focused, the ability to monitor and self-regulate negative emotions. And this is related to executive function, which is a very important concept to know. Executive function is like your brain learning to take control. It's the mental processes that control and regulate behavior. You plan and execute tasks to reach your goal. And this is one of the most important developments you can think of. I mean, everything that you do depends on executive function. Your decision to sign up for a class, your decision then to comply with all of the expectations and requirements. You buy the book, you read the book, you stay on target with reading the book and listening to the lectures, you study, you take the test. All of these relates to executive function. Even more simply, when you look at children, executive function depends on, you listen to what your parents tell you, you do what they ask, even if they've stepped away from you for a moment, you don't just grab or shove or knock things down. You may go to your daycare or you're playing with the child next door or something. The same thing. You would play nicely with them even as you're learning how to do that. So children may go through the terrible twos, but they're also learning how to behave appropriately in society. And this is related to executive function, the mental ability to plan and execute tasks, to keep negative emotions in check, and to achieve your goals. The origins of conscience are also related. Conscience is an emotional discomfort when you do something wrong, and it's persistent, it doesn't give you much peace. And it's also the ability then to remember that and stop doing something wrong the next time. And this is because you believe it's the right thing to do, not just you're forcing yourself to do something. There is situational compliance, and committed compliance. Committed compliance is wholehearted obedience of the parent's orders without reminders. Situational compliance, in contrast, is following orders when you are prompted and reminded. So based on the situation, you'll obey. Committed compliance is you obey all the time because you internalize that this is the right thing to do. Receptive cooperation goes beyond committed compliance. The child cooperates in all interactions, in all situations. It's an active partner in socialization. So children who were prone to anger, who had received poor parenting, or who were insecurely attached, later on went to show a low receptive cooperation. So children who were the opposite, those who were securely attached, who were low in anger, who received sensitive parenting, were much higher in receptive cooperation. So what helps the success of socialization? Secure attachment, receptive cooperation, mutual responsiveness of parent and child. All of these factors help to successfully socialize a child. Also, constructive conflict in terms of you have a disagreement, but you learn how to successfully negotiate and bring a proper resolution. That also helps to socialize a child. So it's not that you absolutely have no conflicts or disagreements with anybody, but you learn how to work it out, and that's the most valuable lesson. We've talked about children in their contact with parents, but the other very important family environment that children have is with siblings. Sibling relationships play a distinct role in socialization. Sibling relationships are a vehicle for understanding social relationships outside the home with peers. Constructive conflict, as we just described, helps children develop a sense of empathy and learn how to get along with others, get past temporary disagreements, and build stronger links. Babies become attached to their older brothers and sisters. Although sibling rivalry is common when children are trying to grab the same toy or something, that's actually not the main pattern of attachment. The main pattern of interaction of children with their siblings is that of affection and friendship. And the more securely attached siblings are to their parents, the better they get along with each other. And as younger siblings grow up and start participating more fully in family interactions, they'll also become involved in family disputes and start testing naughty behavior. But the resolution is also learned, and the way you get along with others in the family is also learned. And this helps to lay the foundation for how you get along with peers. And affection is the main result. Children also are in situations where they are with friends and others who are not siblings. Toddlers also show an interest in people outside the home, and they look and coo with, and starting from babyhood, they make, attractive noises towards other children. So babies who spend time with other babies tend to be more sociable because they have more opportunity to practice the skill. Toddlers learn by imitating one another. So playing follow the leader, or, just playing next to each other and observing each other paves the way for more complex games. Now we come to a very important section of the chapter. Most parents in the US work nowadays, and both parents, mother and father, both work. And what effect does parental employment have on how their children develop and are socialized? Now in this, I would like to caution you that you must read the chapter in this section closely and understand the specific research findings that have been put forward. One study, the NLSY, the National Longitudinal Study of Youth, put forward important findings in this regard. And another study is the study of early child care. So these two studies have shown important effects of parental employment. Again, I will give you an important caution. If you are asked to talk in an exam or a quiz or in a job interview or whatever about the effects of parental employment, please don't confuse that with another group of studies that talk about the effects of being in daycare. Daycare studies look at the effect of being in daycare, how that affects children. The parental employment studies focus on how parental employment affects children. Sure, the children of employed parents tend to spend more time in daycare, but the two issues are separate, and please do not confuse them. So the NLSY study showed that children of mothers who worked in the first year of life had negative outcomes when they were aged 3 to 8, when they were again measured. But this negative outcome was not found in socioeconomically disadvantaged families, because in those families when the mother worked, she brought in very necessary income that improved the environment of the home. After the first year, if the babies are lucky enough for at least one parent to stay home for the first year of life, after the first year of life, there is no effect of maternal employment on children's compliance with rules, behavioral problems, self-esteem, cognitive development, academic achievement, or any of those type of situations. So you have to understand these nuances of the effects of parental employment on children's development. Now let's turn to the related issue of how child care affects children's development. Some of this depends on the child's temperament. Easy children, children of easy temperament, get on better. Please look at table 6-4, which is very important in giving you a checklist for the characteristics that help you find out a good child care facility. A good child care facility has good structural characteristics that are related to the structure of the daycare, how it's organized. That means the staff has appropriate training, and it's a good ratio of children to staff. There are many staff members with fewer children. A good daycare also has process characteristics, how the work is carried out day to day. The workers are very warm and sensitive and nurturing. The activities are appropriate. And the third is the caregiver characteristics. That is the most important element in the quality of childcare. The adults are warm, sensitive, and responsive to the children. The staff is stable. There's not a lot of coming and going. The turnover is low. And these are very important factors in how childcare affects children's development. So children who are in high quality daycare do better compared to children who are in low quality daycare or a low quality home environment. And these factors are more important than just how expensive the childcare is or whether it has a lot of fancy facilities, expensive, high quality, and so on. So it's the structure, process, and caregiver characteristics that are most important. And the most important of these is the warm, sensitive, and responsive adults. This is a study conducted by the National Institute of Child Health and Development on the early child care. This is a longitudinal study with a diverse sample, and they showed that the amount of childcare and the quality of childcare were both important. The more time a child spends in childcare does seem to be related to difficulties in behavior and in adjustment later. However, the quality of the childcare is even trumps that. Its quality of childcare is more important than the amount of childcare, especially for lower income families, where the childcare setting, if it's high quality, may actually provide a better environment than that found in the home. And of course, the family environment is the most important. So children who are very advantaged in terms of having a good family environment and a good quality childcare do the best of all. And so childcare, when it's of high quality, does not affect attachment. Children can successfully attach with multiple caregivers if the caregivers are warm and sensitive, good quality, and they have stability. There's not a whole lot of change and turnover. As I said before, child maltreatment and abuse is an important topic, but we do not have the time in our syllabus to cover this in appropriate detail, so I will leave you to pursue this topic on your own if you're interested, and you will definitely find it taken up in other classes that you will study.